MVP straw poll of the season, and in it, Nikola Jokic topped the ballot with 953 total points, which is the most. Shea came in second with 626 total points. Luka came in third with 493. Giannis came in fourth with 334, and Tatum came in fifth with 119. Jokic got 85 first place votes. Shea was the second most with 10. So he's basically shored up at this point, and that'll make it his third in 4 seasons, which is a rare accomplishment to win 3 in the first place. It's an even rarer one to get 3 in 4 years. And depending on who you ask, last season, maybe he should have won it too. I think he probably should have won it last season if everyone was healthy and everything, And this season, Embiid would have won it if he was healthy. So I think Embiid would have gotten his either way, but, it didn't shake out that way. So we're talking about 3 and 4 years. That is a remarkable accomplishment, and I think if he does indeed win his third MVP and wins a title, which, there's a solid shot at, seemingly. The Nuggets have been one of the best teams all season. They still control their destiny for the 1 seed in the West, which I find incredibly funny because they have at every turn that they could have possibly claimed the 1 seed and held on to it, let it go. And it's the same for the Thunder and the Timberwolves. So they've just completely lucked into having their own destiny controlled again. But if they do get the 1 seed, win the title, or even, win the title just in general, not necessarily from the 1 seed, I think that starts putting him in top 10 discussions all time. And I personally already have him there. Probably, if you ask me, I probably have him there, at least peak-wise. But I think the general consensus will be, okay, he's around the 10-ish range. You can start to talk about him over Shaq, Larry Bird. Those lower 10 spots, the 70s players for sure, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. I think you can have those discussions. I just want to make sure that I get on here and say how much I appreciate, these last few seasons, because I think it's important to take a minute to smell the roses, right? And he's already succeeded in his career. He already won a title. He's already done what no other Nugget in NBA history could do, and that was lead the Nuggets to a title. It was him, Jamal, AG, KCP, Bruce Brown, MPJ, and those 6 guys really led this team to their first title. And Jokic was obviously the main proprietor of that. And this season has not been his best season, but I saw someone on Twitter say he might be past his peak because this season he only recorded 24 triple-doubles when last season he recorded 29 triple-doubles, and that's dumb. This season he is still doing very well. He's not averaging quite the efficiency that he was last season, which was north of 70% true shooting, which is absurd. I did not expect him to keep up that efficiency. In games that he's played with Jamal Murray, he's had a 66.7 true shooting percentage. Games without, he's had a 60.4% true shooting percentage. So there's definitely a noticeable difference in his efficiency when he's in a game with Jamal versus a game without. But in games where he is playing with Jamal, 26, 12, and 8.5 on, good efficiency. Games without, 28, 13, and 10. So he is stepping up. He's taking more shots, obviously. When you don't have your star point guard, you take more shots. And I think the efficiency thing, some people have talked about it. It's not super heavily talked about or discussed. I do think this offseason he should get a wrist surgery done because he's had a right wrist injury for quite a few years now. I think 3, I want to say. And it's been a lingering thing. And it's been especially bad this year, I think, because his mid-range shot is kind of cooked. He's not a bad mid-range shooter or anything right now, far from it. But last season, he was really elite at those shots. Historically speaking, he's been pretty good at those long mid-range shots. Last season, he shot 55% per clean glass on those long mid-range shots, which are defined as 14 feet to the three-point line. This season, he's only shooting 41% there. And, he's still been really efficient, but that's largely due to his, short mid-range game, his floater range, which is still at around 61%, which is in line with his last 2 seasons where it was 62%. And he does take more of those, significantly more of those than long mid-range shots. But it is noteworthy that, he's not shooting as well from long mid-range and from the three. His three has been better lately. Like, I think it was down to 30% or something at one point in the season, and now it's up to 36%. But last season it was 39%. But he always turns that on in the playoffs, so I'm not too concerned about, like, oh, is he gonna, not shoot well, because he's gonna shoot well in the playoffs. That's just what he does. He shot 47% from three last postseason. I don't expect him to shoot 47% again, but I wouldn't be shocked if it got to like 40. He's been absolutely generational still, like offensively. He is assisting on 40% of his team's makes, which is just a ridiculous number, especially considering like what position he plays. Like a center, if you told us before 2016, yeah, in 4 to 8 years you're going to have a center in the NBA who is assisting on nearly 40% of his team shots just yearly, that's just a thing he does, that would have been insane. And he's done that this season. 39.7% to be more exact, with a usage percentage of 31.3. That just means he's had his hand in 90% of the team's buckets while he's on the floor, because he's scoring on a lot of them. He's assisting on nearly 40%. I don't think it's actually 90%. I don't know the stat right off the top of my head, and it's not on cleaning the glass, so don't take that as gospel. That was hyperbole. But a significant portion of the team's makes are from Nikola directly or assisted by Nikola, and it's just absurd. He's the best passer of all time. I think it's him or Magic. I did not grow up watching Magic. Obviously, I'm 20 years old. I'm not from the 80s or 90s, but I would personally lean Nikola. I wouldn't be upset if you leaned Magic. Take your pick there. Personally, I lean Jokic. Take your pick, though. But I think he's the best passer of all time. He's one of the best scorers of all time. Like, efficiency-wise, he's really good. He can score in a multitude of ways. He can score with his back to the basket. He can score off of drives. He can score off of mid-range shots, pull-ups, floaters, three-pointers, just a lot of different ways as the roll man. And all that to say, I think he's the best offensive player of all time. I think it's either him or Steph, but I think those two, he's at least, to me, the most complete offensive player of all time. Now, if you bring defense into the discussion, I think, obviously LeBron, MJ are better. But I think if we're going peak for peak, he is the best offensive player of all time, in my opinion. Again, these are super granular discussions, and you start getting into, well, this player does X, Y, and Z. This player didn't do X well. This player did Z well. It can get it can get complicated. It can get really into the weeds of it all. And I think there's some validity to having those debates, but largely it's down to preference. I'm a Nuggets fan. Of course, I'm going to think Nikola Jokic is the best offensive player of all time. If you asked a Warriors fan, they'd say Curry. If you asked a Lakers fan, they'd say one of the 20 different superstars they've had in their history. So it's natural to pick your guy. If you ask a Dolphins fan who the best quarterback is, they're going to say Dan Marino. A Patriots fan, Tom Brady. Those sorts of things. But I think there's a perfectly valid argument to say he's the best offensive player of all time. And I think after this season, we'll be able to start having the discussions of where he places in the upper echelons of NBA royalty. I think he'll go down as outside of LeBron, of his generation, right? Outside of the LeBron and Curry generation, I think he'll go down as the best ranking player in those discussions from this generation. I think he'll finish higher all time than Giannis. And I think that's really the only other player that gets close to him, because Embiid, I don't see ever winning a title, and he only has one MVP, whereas Jokic is going to have 3, Giannis has 2. So that's this video. I just wanted to put something out today. Depending on when you guys are watching this, I might be live on playback on Dom2K's channel on there. If you are, stop by. I'll be watching the Nuggets game tonight, and I'll also be breaking down some plays and whatnot during halftime. So if you want more content from me, you can catch me over there. I stream there a good amount. Don't ask me why it's on Dom's channel. I don't know. I just kind of ended up co-hosting a lot, and then when he's not on there, I go there. So I hope you guys liked this video. Remember to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Have a good one. Bye.